What up? What up? This is Finance, Fitness, and Folk, a channel where we discuss finance, a little bit of fitness, and talk about some folk. So, in today's episode, I'm going to discuss how you can receive VA compensation for your fee. Had a subscriber that asked this question, said that she's going through the process herself right now. So I said, why not? I'll go ahead and make a video as pertains to VA disability compensation when it comes to your feet and how you could possibly be rated for your feet. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm an expert as far as how you are able to receive compensation for your feet, but I will go over some of the conditions that are rateable and also how I was rated for my feet. So I said before in the previous video that I received 50% for my feet. And that was from the first time I submitted a claim while I was still in the Army. So I have plantar fasciitis in both my feet, and I also have what's called a calcaneal spur on my right heel. So these two conditions, I'm assuming, in conjunction with all the times I was on profile and receiving physical therapy, receiving foot inserts for my boots and my running shoes through this whole time being in the Army the last 2 years. Actually, it started about 4 years before I left the military, but I pushed through. Didn't want to be in a situation where I was on profile for a very long time. So I fought through the plantar fasciitis, went through some rigorous physical therapy, got back to the point where I was able to do a physical fitness test. And then all of a sudden, within a year of doing that, it came back with a vengeance. And all the way into the time I left the military, it stayed that way. I still, walk and, semi-jogged a little bit since I've been retired, but the pain is still there. I still take medication for it. Every single time that I have to, I try to do some cardio. Even if I'm on a bike or a treadmill, I have to take some type of pain medication because my feet actually will get that bad. So it's been rough. But getting back to the compensation piece, I guess when the VA viewed my records and saw all these things that were pertaining to my feet, they went to the 38 CFR, went to whatever section in this 38 CFR that actually explains how you rate the feet, and then they gave me the compensation based off of that particular excerpt in the 38 CFR. So I pulled the 30 CFR up before. I forget exactly how how it was named and how they derived the rating for me when it came to that. But a lot of times with the 30 CFR, if you look up some up in the 30 CFR, very specific, they'll actually give you like very detailed information as far as like how they're going to rate that particular disability. And it was I think it was kind of a no-brainer when they looked at my medical records. So it wasn't a hard thing for me to receive that rating. But there are a couple things that you may have that if you've been diagnosed with it while you were in the military, that it could give you compensation for your feet. One is having a hammer toe, meaning that your toe or toes are actually bent down to where the outside of your toes will rub against your boot or whatever shoe you're wearing, causing calluses and things of that nature. But the hammer toe, meaning that your toe is completely bent and you cannot bend it forward. Also, bunions. Bunions are created on the side of your big toe, and that can cause a callus and also some other issues when it comes to that. I mentioned plantar fasciitis. I forget exactly what the medical term entails and what it explains, but basically it's like the most excruciating pain you can have under your feet. I mean, it is pretty bad. When I was going through physical therapy, I had a cap and they used some type of metal rod that has some bumps on it. It looked like a dough, something you use to roll dough with, and he pretty much pushed with a lot of pressure on the bottom of my feet to stretch out the fascia. I forget what the medical term is, but it's the fascial. Somebody correct me in the comments if I'm saying this incorrectly, but basically the muscle that's under your feet, it gets really stiff, and he uses that device in order to stretch the muscle out under your feet. And he did it very rigorously for a couple of sessions, and that's how I was able to get back onto my feet when it came to running again. But it's one of those conditions where it can come back at any given time. I've been having it since it came back with a vengeance, and I don't know if it's gonna go away now. I'm not sure. I do not think I'm going back to physical therapy for it though. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and just deal with the pain, and and I have some exercises that I can do for my feet when it comes to that, and also use a what's called I think it's called a foot splint, where I can put, it's basically like a huge boot you put on your feet. Looks like a boot you would put on your feet if you broke your foot, but it's not for walking. It basically, what it does, it stretches your, it pushes your, it positions your foot in a certain position overnight to where the fascial, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, is at a certain stretch point to where when you wake up in the morning, it doesn't feel so stiff when you get out of bed. So I've been using that for a while. I will say that when I do not use that, it causes some issues when I try to work out in the morning. So some other things. So if you've broken your foot before during your military service, that's definitely probably a no-brainer. Now, I'm not going to say you're going to get rated for it, but what I will say is that if the foot injury was bad enough to where your foot was broken, like I said, and there was some residual issues that happened after you broke your foot, then the 30 CFR should point out something in there would pretty much go to the fact that this soldier or this service member broke their foot, and these are the residual things that happen as a result of them breaking their foot or feet. Speaking of which, let's go into the bilateral portion of it. So let's just say you had one foot that had plantar fasciitis and the other foot did not. Okay, that rating is going to be affected. You may not get a 50% rating. You may get something less than that. There's also a rule to where I think it's called a bilateral rule to where if you have both extremities having the same issue, then they're going to tax on 10%. They're going to tax on 10% more onto that rating. But for the feet, it's not the case. So with me having plantar fasciitis in both feet, I received a 50% rating, and it was seen that because of the bilateral rule that I would receive an extra 10% because of that, but that's not the case. I'm not exactly sure why they don't do it for the feet, but it is what it is. They have to go off of the regulations, right? What else for the feet? Just definitely make sure that if you have anything that was wrong with your feet before you joined the military, just to keep in mind that, of course, that if you had something wrong with your feet before you joined, the VA is going to pretty much fight back at you when it comes to you trying to receive compensation for that. But there is some situations to where you may aggravate the feet as a result of that previous condition to where you can receive compensation, but that's to be proven. One of the big things is having flat feet. Flat feet is a big issue when it comes to military service, and there are a lot of reasons why flat feet will give you a rating because of the service, the condition that you're in when you're in the military. I know across the services, definitely when it comes to the Marines and the Army, I mean, we run a lot. So, I mean, that's just going to be that's nature of the beast. We run a lot and we ruck a lot. So I know for myself, I'm pretty sure that's probably the main reason why my feet are so messed up right now. Also, there are some conditions to where you can have your feet rated based off of a rating that affects the feet. What I mean by that, what I mean is, so for myself, I have arthritis in both knees, right? Now, this is not the reason why I received my foot rating, but I'm just saying that I'm just giving this as an example. So I have arthritis in both my knees, but let's say I didn't have anything wrong with my feet. So I have arthritis in both knees, which means that I can't walk that well or for a long period of time, right? So in addition to me having arthritis in both my knees, now I'm compensating on probably on one foot or both feet because I have arthritis in my knees. So now, depending on how bad your feet become because of the conditions of your knees, you can claim your feet as a secondary condition. Or I'm sorry, you can actually have your feet rated and have your knees as a how can I say this? So your feet will be secondary to your knees. I'm sorry. I think I think your knees would be secondary to your feet. But basically, there's a way that you can actually have like, okay, my feet is messed up, so so because my knees are messed up, it messed my feet up. If that makes any sense. So basically, they're connected to a certain degree. So there are some situations to where you can receive a rating, and then there are ratings that are in addition to what you already had as a rating. So for example, so let's say a person has PTSD, and they have migraines, right? So the PTSD caused the migraines. So now migraines are secondary to the PTSD. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense to you. Okay, so, but I know we're talking about feet, so that's why I'm trying to relate it to feet. So there are some situations to where you can have a rating for something, and my feet is has been messed up as a result of my knees. Okay, so there it is. So my knees are messed up because my feet are messed up because of my knees. So now my feet are a secondary condition as a result of my knees being messed up, right? So in any case, those are some of the reasons, some of the ways you can be rated for your feet. I probably would go more into a deep dive on that, but I just wanted to push this video out because I had a subscriber that needed to have information, and I definitely will make another video as it pertains to your feet and how you can be rated for it, because I think feet is one of the biggest issues that we have in the military, and it's probably one of the easiest things you can claim, especially if you have medical documentation that states that something was wrong with your feet as pertains to your military service. All right, so like, comment, and subscribe. I thank you so much for all my subscribers, everybody that's liked the video, everybody that has commented on my videos. I definitely appreciate it. It's been a pretty I want to say not a long journey. I started this channel, I want to say September last year, I believe. It might have been summer last year. Definitely was pushing out a lot of financial advice, fitness advice, talking about folks, not in a bad way, but you know, but in an informational way. But then this thing came up when it came to VA compensation, and because I'm a military service member, retired, disabled, I put these videos out, and now my views are going through the roof now. So I'm going to keep pushing these videos out for you guys, because I want to make sure that my fellow veterans are actually receiving the compensation they deserve, and they're getting information that they need in order to get their compensation. All right. Finance, Fitness, and Folk. Triple F, I'm gone.